Fields Creative with Désiré, the Brand Maverick. Before we get into it, I just wanted to thank you for following me into this tilted rabbit hole where we learn about the entrepreneur journey and all the magnificent and terrifying things that come with it. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to increase your brand exposure, network internationally, and gain insights, then follow the breadcrumbs in the show notes to my site where you can find everything you need to start your business, grow your brand, and accelerate your income today. I even have a live show every Monday that you can attend. It's free brand awareness and exposure, and you get to meet some really cool people on the show. It's such incredible value, and you don't have to pay a penny for it. Now it's time. Let's jump straight into the rabbit hole.
Welcome to the Entrepreneur Spotlight. It is absolutely incredible to have you here. For those who are now tuning in, do you want to just give them your name, your company name, and tell them a little bit about what you do?
Okay, so hi everybody. Hi Désiré. Thank you first of all for inviting me on. Absolutely amazing. My name is Suzanne Smart and I am a trauma transformation practitioner. My program is called Positive Imprint, and it came about through my experiences with two domestically violent and narcissistic relationships.
Wow, hats off to you for surviving twice over.
Yeah,
I'm a product of lots of childhood trauma, so I get it. But I'm being in relationships that are very much along kind of same lines, because we tend to attract the same kind of energy, same kind of toxic energy.
absolutely.
I don't know why. It's just like, I think it's probably because it's familiar. So it's something that we are used to. Therefore, we're like, oh, okay, we recognize this. Whereas a good relationship or a healthy relationship would be unrecognizable to us or foreign to us. Because if we've only ever had toxic relationships, then that's all you really know. So you tend to kind of, we're wired to stay in what's familiar. So if toxic is familiar, then you kind of stay there. But no, I get it. It's difficult. It is very challenging. So it's amazing work that you're doing here. So what was the recovery like, if you don't mind me asking? Like, how did you first realize that you were in a bad relationship, and like, how did you kind of move out of it and move into a healthier relationship with yourself?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I realized that I needed, was to understand myself, what made me tick, what were my weaknesses, what were my strengths, what was I looking for in life, where was my direction, because it was kind of guided by the people that I was with. And I thought, that is not right. And whenever I tried to step out and follow my dreams or what I thought was the template for my life, including them, I was vilified. I was put back in my box. How dare I raise my head above the line they'd set for me? And okay, I would then go down. And then a time would come when I would go, no, absolutely not. No, this is not me. There came a time where a little voice inside said, this is not you, my darling. You need to be rising. And it came to the point where, and it was really strange, because it came to the point where the second time it was my daughter that jumped in between us. And I thought, oh no, can't have that, because my first daughter was affected during her exam stage. And it looked like I was going to repeat that pattern with my second child. I thought, no. And that was my impetus then. No, absolutely not. Let's go. But that was the call to leave and to pour into myself instead. And but to answer your initial question, that period of growth was agonizing, because I had to strip back to the bare bones and then rebuild myself with a new outlook, a new perspective, and to not go for those trauma bonds that create that familiarity, to recognize that I was put here for a purpose, that I am my own person, that no one else has the right to tell me who I am and where I should be, what I should be doing, all of these simple things that make us who we are. And that was that moment and that journey, that passage. Oh my goodness. But every step of the way, I was reminded that this is now my pathway. And in order to find out who I am at my core and to be able to live in my purpose, to stand in my power, that I needed to trod that road.
That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Hats off to you for finding the strength, the courage, the everything. I'm listening to you and it's like, wow, so much of my mum went through it. So, and it's her story to tell, so I won't tell it, but I was the child. And as a child coming out of relationships like that, you tend to then find those people in your adult life. You tend to gravitate towards those very same toxic, narcissistic, psychopathic kind of people who, you know, feed off of the empathy of others, because I'm incredibly empathetic. Absolutely. So obviously narcissists tend to gravitate towards people who are of high empathy. But yeah, all my paws are just raising right now. I'm like, okay, I can't even think of what my next question is going to be. It's very rare that you can actually shut me up, so congratulations. But I just want to say, like, hats off to you for not just surviving, not just even thriving, but taking that trauma and using it. You're wielding it like a weapon now. You're using it in your work, and that's something incredibly commendable, because everybody on some level has been through some form of trauma. No one is completely entirely and wholly, because your parents or your people around you have completely isolated you from real life, which is when real life hits you, that in and of itself will become a traumatic experience. So I do believe that people, even the people who are, you know, wrapped in cotton wool, have their own journey to face, but not a lot of them can do what you're doing. I mean, I'm not sure if I can. I talk about what I've been through a lot, but I don't think I can take what I've been through and use it directly to help and support people. I'm not sure if I even have the strength to do that. So my whole being goes out to you, not just my heart. Everything goes out to you, and hats off to you for being able to do that, because that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. You know, so you said earlier you are authoring a book. So how exactly do you, what's your process in terms of making this work?
With the book, it's been 3 years in the making, and it is a profile of the types of people that hunt for those people that, you know, that they can see have that trauma in their background, because that, you know, if you do end up at the mercy of a narcissist, a psychopath, a bully, then it's because they have collared you. They've gone, that's the one that I want, you know? So it's about that kind of profile, how you fall into that. And it has research, so much research, but also my program, how because my program is called Positive Imprint, it's an acronym. So it's each letter is is a separate module, is a part of the program. So it follows my program, but it also follows my progress, bits of my story, and with some research to back that up, and also some tips and hints on how to kind of conduct yourself in each stage. And if you feel that you're at any particular stage, or you are in that situation, then different ways that you can come out of that, different help that's available to people, and just, you know, giving people hope, really, that you can reach that moment of clarity that says enough, and that you can move on from that, gain your life, and do whatever you want to do after that. The world's your oyster.
Wow, that's, again, speechless. You're rendering me speechless today, honestly.
For
Like
podcasts.
this is a first. I'm quiet on a podcast because normally it's like I got to rein myself in. Wow. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I know why you started kind of doing this, but because obviously you've been through it. But
Mm-hmm.
what was really the impetus that made you go, okay, I'm gonna take my trauma and I'm gonna make money off of it. I'm gonna make this my career. What was that? What was that turning point?
That came actually when I was sat in my car. I was on a long journey, and I was just reflecting. I do a lot of reflecting while I drive. Also in the shower, I get a lot of inspiration while I'm in the shower or when I'm driving. And I've normally got my music blaring. And this time I was traveling, no music. It was just me in that space. And I had this vision come to me. The different stages that I'd been through, the different research that I'd done, the teaching that I'd had, all the different learnings that came from all of those experiences, and this vision, I can only call it a vision, unfolded in front of my eyes. And it just kept rolling in front of me as I was driving. I could see it again now, just rolling. The words, the imprint, the different areas that I'd come through. And I got home, and the first thing I did was to write everything down that I had experienced there. Stepped back from it and looked at it and thought, wow, this is actually a program. This is what I've been through. This is how I've come through it. And if that can help me, it can help somebody else. Even it can help one more person. Then,
Yeah.
I've done a good thing.
You've done it. Yeah. Wow. I mean, I can totally relate to the self-reflection in the car, self-reflection in the shower, specifically the shower, because I've always said, like, that's one of my most powerful places, because it's,
Yes.
regardless of whatever mood, I could be in the foulest mood. I have a shower, I come out and I reset. It's almost like a reset button. I don't know what it is. I just wash all of that negative, toxic energy off of me. And it resets my whole being. But some of my best ideas have come when I'm like in the shower. And people who don't know, people who've ever lived with me or stayed with me even for a day know that you'll find me screaming in the shower. It's like, get me a pen and paper. Somebody write this down.
Yes.
Somebody text this to me. I'm always like screaming out the shower going, somebody write this down for me. And it was so much so that I actually got I got a waterproof speaker that's now in the shower, so I can tell like Siri to dictate things for me now, because I'm like, it's so much, it's so often. So I'm always like telling it to make a note of da, 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 and it's constant, because it's literally, as the water falls, the ideas just keep rolling. But
absolutely,
I think it is really, really important to self-reflect, and a lot of people don't do it. It's like an alarming number of people don't reflect, and it's bizarre to me because it comes almost naturally. So I start to think, well, have you not thought about this yourself? You know, but I don't know. It might just be a thing, like a PTSD thing. It might be that, I don't know.
It could
be.
It could be. I was slammed for that the other day by someone who said to me, we're not all amazing and wonderful. Like, hang on a minute, I am not amazing and wonderful. But I realised that self-reflection, I've always done it. And I was very surprised, actually, when I did my teacher training, that reflection was 99% of that. I thought that I would be schooled on how to bring a lesson, how to, capture minds, but all that you bring yourself. The self-reflection is what hones your skill. And then your creativity is how you deliver that lesson. So that blew my mind. That absolutely blew my mind.
Because you had it naturally within you. It was already locked in there, wasn't it?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're natural born at this. That's amazing. Yeah.
But that's where the growth happens. That's self-reflection. That's where, and it's self-reflection in a positive way. So it's not self-beratement, because that's something different. And I think when you're in a toxic environment, that's what you do. You kind of live in this echo chamber of you and this other person. And it comes to the stage where that echoing then you then start to echo those negative phrases, those put downs, those, all of that bile that's poured into you. You then start to echo
Yes,
that because you're living in this little echo chamber. And so
absolutely.
self-reflection then, once you escape that chamber, that self-reflection is you, and you telling yourself how wonderful you are, recognizing yourself for all of the skills that you have, all of the empathy that you contain, all of the things that you do for others, and then also for yourself. Because
Yeah.
when you're in that echo chamber as well, the first thing that's stripped when you're in a toxic relationship is your self-esteem, your intuition, and your self-care. So that
Yes.
they're the first things to go. And once you start to build those back up and start to pour back into your, what I call your life cup, then you then start having those conversations that help you to grow and help you to see where your growth spots can be, rather than looking at it from a point of view of, how worthless you are, how useless you are, how fill in the blank. you
Yeah,
know,
no, absolutely.
and
I
that's
am.
just, oh,
Yes, yes, absolutely. I mean, I've got a ruminative OCD. So you pair ruminative OCD with ADHD, anxiety, and depression with PTSD. Um, yeah,
yes,
it can be a really dangerous place to be in. And I knew
yeah,
this as a child because I've been through more psychologists, therapists, counselors, psychiatrists than anyone that I've ever known. And it's simply because, well, to be honest, most of the cognitive behavioral therapy, I've been doing it since I was 10. So I can probably teach the sessions that they send you on, I could probably teach them things
mm,
because I've been doing it for so long and it comes almost like second nature to me now. So
yeah,
I self-regulate instantaneously to the point where
mm,
I no longer recognize I'm even doing it anymore, which is actually,
yeah,
it's on autopilot, which is kind of cool because now I don't even have to think about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that on my own now. Don't have to worry. It's like breathing.
there you
That's
go.
how much I
Mm,
self-regulate. And but the thing is, like when you've got ruminative OCD, and you've, say for instance, you're not in a great place and you're with ADHD, you are incredibly sensitive to criticism. Everybody who has got
mm,
ADHD knows that one thing, that rejection sensitivity. I think it's rejection
yes,
sensitivity dysphoria. That is way worse than in anyone else on the planet. And you can
mm,
just tell me, I don't like how this looks. And then my brain doesn't hear, I don't like how this looks. My brain hears, I don't like your work. Your work is crap. What even is this?
yes,
Like that's what my brain actually hears and
yeah,
processes. And if you're not in an incredibly strong place or incredibly positive place, that can very easily get tipped into negativity. And then 4 hours later, I am underneath a table crying because my brain is doing this to me and I can't get it to stop.
mm-hmm,
And I think it's really, really important for us to remember that even though you look at somebody and you think they've got their stuff together, they're amazing, they're really good at what they do, they're multi-talented, multifaceted. I've heard lots of people say like I've got so many talents, I've got so many skills. I'm I'm very high IQ. I know this. It's factual,
mm-hmm,
not bragging. But I've also got all of these other things that that no one sees. No one sees this stuff. And I think it's really important for us to remember that for every person that smiles, the brightest of the smiles have just behind that smile is a world of darkness just behind that. So it's
yes,
just important for you to remember not to judge other people because you don't know what they're going through. It's like if somebody's like really horrible to me for absolutely no reason, I mean, my instinct is not to be horrible back. My instinct is I usually do the deer in headlights kind of okay, and
mm,
kind of just walk off. And then afterwards, I think of a really cheeky comeback because I'm just too slow to. I'm shocked by the reaction, and my instinct is to just
mm-hmm,
walk away to diffuse it because I'm non-confrontational by nature. But afterwards, I
right,
think, oh,
okay,
I could have said this, I could have said that, I could have said, and my brain then goes, why didn't you say all of this stuff? And then I think, I don't know what that person's going through anyway. They probably had a really shitty day. they probably just woke up. You have no idea. So it's important for everybody to remember, everybody who's listening to this, just remember that no matter what, if the checkout person or person in the queue or person on a bus, or you brush past somebody and, or they spilt their coffee on you or whatever, like, just take a beat, take a breath, and don't react. Don't react, but respond. So take a breath and think, and then respond to it, because you don't know what the other people are going through. Yeah,
exactly. So your fear response then is retreat. It's flight.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm 100% flight. What? Yeah. I'm flight. I literally, I did a those silly quizzes online once, and it was like 90% flight, 10% freeze. There was no fight. There was no fawn in that. It was literally just flight or become invisible.
Yes. Okay.
I blended to the wall, or I'm no longer there.
No, I'm different. My two are either fight or flop. Yeah.
Interesting.
Fight or flop. Yeah. And I talk about that as well. When I talk about that, how there are times when I would come out of the ring, the metaphorical ring, my gloves held high, just, giving it everything. Or there were times when I just went, you know what, there's just no point. Okay, fine. No point. Yeah,
no, I'm the flighty one, and I think it probably is from witnessing so many arguments when I was a child. But like the root of it, I'm assuming, would be that, because it plays a huge part in my language. So if I'm having an argument with somebody who I care about, like in a relationship with, I instantly go, I can't take this anymore, I'm done. And that I'm done, I can't take this, doesn't mean I'm done, I can't handle this relationship anymore. It actually just means I'm done with this current situation. But unless I finish that sentence, it can be taken both ways, or can be taken the wrong way. And it took me a long time to realize, with the whole I want to leave, that feeling of leaving and moving and like moving along. It's not necessarily a leaving of a relationship. Or leaving the person, it's leaving the situation. It's leaving that feeling, because I don't want to feel like that anymore. And it took me years. It took me about a decade to figure that out, because that's something that we don't, even no matter how many counselors you go to, they just tell you that you're looking for somewhere safe. You're looking for a safe place. But it was going on so often in everything, in every facet of my life, because I'm not somebody who runs from my problems. I face my problems head on. I'm a solution finder by nature. So it was very contradictory, where because my flighty behavior and my want to solve problems were kind of in battle, especially with my communication. Because when it was coming out of my mouth, that was what was coming out. I was saying, I want to leave, but it's not, I want to physically leave. It's like, I want to leave this scenario, this environment, this feeling. And it took such a long time for me to figure that out. So but I do think that has something to do with having those relationships, like in those foundational years, I don't know. Could be, this is turning out to be an incredible therapy session. Like, wow, let's just all unpack it for the podcast.
Wow. So, so much of us is based on, so much of our lives now are based on our first, those growing up years. And, kind of, you said there about being safe, and safety has always been my thing. If I don't feel safe, I feel like the ground is sinking underneath me, and that's it. How I express is my head swells. I just cannot
literally
cope with that. So So safety has always been my thing, and I know that is from my childhood and certain events that happened there that left me very vulnerable, very open. It almost feels like your skin's been turned inside out.
Yep. Hashtag can relate.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's insane. It's absolutely insane to kind of see how, us two people who've lived completely different lives, have completely different experiences, and have even experienced trauma from a very different perspective, but we can kind of come together and go, right, so we now understand what this feeling of safety is. Because The second that your safety and security is at threat, that's when you probably do also, because I definitely do it, but I go into hyperdrive. And that's when, and it's not a panic mode, it's a hyperdrive that goes, okay, let's fix this. I need to feel safe, and I will do whatever it takes to feel safe then. Yeah. And it's a fixation. It's not even, it doesn't come from a place of panic. It literally just comes from, all right, let's switch all of these emotions off and let's just focus on fixing this one thing because this is the most important thing to me.
Lock in. Yeah.
Yes.
Lock in.
Wow. It's absolutely insane that we think like on that we are this. I know, but we come from completely different cultures as well. I mean, I grew up halfway around the world, so for us to have that same response, it's a biological response, but it just shows how important that feeling of safety and security actually is, because I think that's on a primal level, that's biological for us, because we are biologically programmed to survive. And it's always been shelter, food, and water. It's always been that. Yes. So if shelter, if any one of those three come into threat, then we are biologically programmed to do exactly what we need to survive. We can literally just switch everything else off, switch all of the noise off. Because, I mean, you look at the refugees at the moment. They are people of incredible strength. They've been through the worst things ever. But you tend to find that they are some of the hardest workers. They will move heaven and earth to provide for their families. And it's because of that trauma. Yeah. It's a trauma response. But
it is
people, but then society in general tends to look down on people like that. And this is the interesting thing, because people who have been through traumatic events society tends to look at them as their damaged goods. Whereas in all of that trauma, you find the people who are, the hardest workers, the people who are the ones who are the most honest, who are the most loyal, because of those because it's a trauma response. It's absolutely mind-blowing how society has this completely miswired.
Yeah. And I think as well with society, it's about realizing and recognizing at its very root that we're all on a journey, because it's like you say, out of that trauma will come something absolutely amazing and astounding, and people then look to somebody or look up to somebody and will say, absolutely. Oh, that man there, he this, he that woman there, she this, she that. And if you've known what they come through, blah 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 blah, and once they reach that pinnacle, then they get the all the accolades. Oh yeah, they've come such a long way, they come through all this trauma, they came through, they were refugees, they built themselves up from nothing, they were homeless. And yet when you are homeless and when you are a refugee, when you are really down on your laurels, you are looked down on. And
yes,
that's where the journey might start for some people. That might be the middle of their book, it might be their first chapter, it doesn't matter. We are all on this journey, and where you end up may be a million miles away from where you started. But give some credit to those that are at their starting level.
Absolutely. No, it is.
We are all human.
Yes, that's why I don't judge others, because you have no clue where they've been, where they've walked, what they've seen.
None.
You've no idea. No idea. And it could be that they've seen a fantastic life, but it could be that you haven't. So also don't judge people who were dealt a really good, set of cards so far. And I say that because you don't know. You have no idea what the future holds, because I know people who have had, incredible, absolutely mind-blowing, incredible lives, and then one decision and it completely changes and rocks their world, and they don't know how to cope with that. Whereas I would look at that and go, that's really easy to solve, because I've been through a lifetime of way worse.
There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. None of us just land.
No,
none of us. Just, I did not just appear here at this moment
it would be
who I
nice
am
though.
now.
It
Oh
would be
gosh,
nice though.
sometimes I think I feel,
Could we just like skip through, like
yeah,
fast forward through the bad
but
bits,
that's where life is,
please?
isn't it? Yeah,
Yes.
but that's where life is, and I can, I can honestly look back at some of those points and see where my gumption came from, and see where I did grow. See, and I look at it now with completely different eyes, and I just think, God, thank God for that moment, because in that moment is when a spark was lit, is when the bellows went. In that moment, there is when at some, a hand came down and dragged me out of whatever situation I was in. They are the moments where I can go, they're what made me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let's just pivot back to entrepreneurship here for a minute.
Okay,
So if you had unlimited resources, unlimited people,
mm-hmm.
money, time, what world problem would you solve?
Oh, world problem. Unlimited money. If I had
Yes.
unlimited resources, I think I would, because I quite like the idea of owning a piece of land, and me being situated in one place that people could come and rest and recover, find their purpose, and go off and live a wonderful life. I would love to do something like that. So I think I would do that on a much grander scale. So maybe
Buy an island?
buy an island, or buy
Yeah.
some huge mass of land, and make it so that, if you were homeless, you could come and we could find something. We could help you to heal, first of all. And then, if you weren't ready to go out and face the world, then we could find something for you to do there that would rebuild your insides and just give you that resolve, and that help you to find your power. You can't give people these things, they have to find it, but you need the environment in which to do that. And I think that that's what I would do. Create that environment where, if you were hungry, if you were homeless, if you, were suffering from trauma and needed to find yourself to go back out into the world and make it a much better place, then you could come to wherever that place was and do that.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's actually an incredible answer. It's a very unique one because I haven't had that one yet. So no,
Okay.
that's amazing. Yeah. So what is the one thing that really fuels your passion?
Oof. Knowing that I'm making that difference, helping people, and then coming back to me with their, oh my goodness, now this is what I want to do. Because I find that once that blockage, that trauma blockage, has been removed, that you see the world in such a different way, and that you can look and think, I can help there, I can do that, I can put my stamp on that. And when people actually come to, because when you're in that situation of trauma, it's enough to get up in the morning and go through your day. Sometimes,
Yeah.
you've got to pull
Yeah.
your bootstraps up and actually get through the day, get through the noise that's coming into your ears, get through the getting the kids to school and to nursery and to clubs, and to getting the food on, and to getting it on in the right way at the right time, getting the plate in front of that person at the right time, and all those little markers
Yeah.
through your day, getting through your day at work, and knowing that what you're going home to, and all of those little markers through your day. So that's how you're kept busy, during those times. So once your life has opened up, and you can then start to look at your time and go, oh, well, actually, I can do this today. I think to help other people to reach that stage where they go, I'm going to go and do that. That for me just fills me up. It really does. And that lets me know that I am absolutely on my road. I'm in my lane, following my purpose.
Yeah. That is an amazing answer as well. Oh, so what has been the hardest thing about entrepreneurship for you?
Oh my goodness. I think it has to be finance. I think it has to be that, because I go through, or I've gone through these, times of dearth, real famine, and you just think, oh my gosh, is this going to, have I really reached the end? And then something amazing and given another vision or another little snippet, my vision is enlarged, or, and right, okay, let's do this, let's do that. Or somebody will just call and say, oh, do you do? Yes, I do. Oh, well, I've been looking for someone too. You think, fab. And it turns out that that is another turning point. It's another area of growth, especially with faith, and faith in myself, faith in God, faith in what I'm doing, and, just weathering those storms. So I think that for me has been kind of like those angst moments.
Yes,
Oh my
that
goodness,
feast
where
and
everything is
famine
fine.
cycle.
Feast and famine. Yeah, yeah. One particular project might end abruptly. It might, and you think, oh my goodness, I had that mapped out for the next 3 months and everything was planned according to that. And then
Yes.
that suddenly goes, and you think,
What am I
but
gonna
they're the
do?
points where I
Yep.
then go, no, Suzanne, come on, come on, come on, come on. You're supposed to be a woman of faith. Let's put that faith into
Yeah.
action.
Yeah. No,
So it might
I
be
could
faith,
totally get that.
actually. Should I say
Yeah.
faith and finances?
Yep. Yep. Oh
Yeah.
wow. No, you and I seem to be a lot on the same wavelength. We're like, yep, 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 can relate.
I like
Very
them.
relatable. So,
Yeah.
what would be one parting gift of wisdom for those listening?
Ooh, parting gift of wisdom. I think one of the best gifts that we can all have, is intuition. Because intuition, like I said earlier, is the first thing to go when you are going through a toxic relationship, any kind of cycle of abuse. Your intuition, boom, goes, because you start to second guess yourself. And I think to always have your antennae up and to show that trust and that faith in your God-given, is it a gift? Gift, I
I
would
think
say.
I think it's a sense.
Of,
I wouldn't even say it's a gift. I think
yes,
it's a sense. It's like I call it my
there
spidey
you go.
senses, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And to always have your antennae up. And when you start, if anything happens and you start to think, is this, then look deeper into that. Do not, because the amount of times I went, oh, I said, come on, Suzanne, give them the benefit of the doubt. Come on, Sam, don't be a bitch. Come on, Suzanne. And
Yes.
not realizing that that was the start of me actually berating myself and turning off the antennae.
Yep.
So my parting gift would be to always, always, always look to your intuition, because it is always right. Never, ever doubt yourself. Never,
No,
ever. That
I
is your,
I have
that's your
unwavering
compass.
faith. I have unwavering faith in my instincts. I
Mm.
follow it blindly. If I can, I can blindfold myself and just follow my instinct and my intuition,
Yeah,
because I have never
that's
ever.
wonderful.
It never led me. It never led me astray. And the times when
There
I
you
did
go.
fail, the times when I did fall, the times when
Mm-hmm.
I turned the wrong corner and ended up in a neighborhood that I shouldn't have, was when
Mm-hmm.
I just turned that instinct, those antennas off, and it was
Yeah,
the worst parts of my life were then. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
now
yeah.
have unwavering faith in it. I literally
Mm-hmm.
completely blind, 100% trust in my gut
Oh,
instinct and intuition.
oh gosh, that feels so good to hear. Honestly, it
Yes.
really does. It really does. Because
Yep.
that's that I found when things really, just like you, when things really started to go wrong, when I was saying, oh, come on, Suzanne, give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, no, absolutely
Yeah.
not. Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
trust it, but you have to go through, like, and I hate to say it, but you have to go through massive amounts of trauma for you to realize how important that instinct and intuition is, because, and it's long
Mm-hmm.
term. It's not even like a small period of it. You've got to go through a long term volume of it before you realize. And it needs to be different types so that you can compare and contrast. Because if
Mm.
without those learning lessons, you're not going to be able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able to see how things went wrong. And without the ability to
Mm-hmm.
self-reflect, you're also
Absolutely.
not going to be able to see it. So
Yes.
you really do need to kind of just switch off and think, you know, Who am I? What am I doing? Like, why am I even here? Why am I in this position now?
Yeah.
Can't tell you how many times I've gone, why are we here again? Again. It's like, really? Des? Again?
Why
Yes.
I made a spade. And yet, you know, I was the woman for them. I was the love of their life. And, you know, why did I attract these people?
Yeah.
Because there was no way I was going to survive a third. No way on this earth. So I thought, before I do that, let me work on me. Let me see where I'm going. Or what is inside of me that clicks and says, yes, this is it. And then kind of walks into this echo chamber.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think, you know, I even the people who have done incredible harm, I don't blame them. It's not necessarily, it's not a blame game. And at least for me, it's not a blame game. And this isn't my naivete just kind of speaking here. This is like, it's not entirely their own fault simply because it takes two to tango. Because I also I showed them how to treat me at some point. So somewhere along the way, it was my fault in some way, because I was the one who went, this is okay. So it's okay for you to tell me that I should not trust myself. Whereas now I'm in a position where if you're telling me that, I'm like, no, that's not okay. So it really does start with building up those very healthy boundaries. And I think once you kind of get there, you know, but it's also, you know, the people who exert that trauma or who inflict that trauma, it's because they are the ones that are really hurting on the inside. Like they need a mirror. They really need a mirror. They need to have some self-reflection. And because it's hurt people hurt others.
They do.
Healthy people heal others. But hurt people just spread more hurt. So the reason why someone's lashing out, or the reason why someone's hurting other person, is because they're hurting on the inside. So they need to do the work. And it's not a reflection on you or your character. It's a reflection on them. So if they're the ones that are insecure and they're the ones that are lashing out, they're the ones that have to do the hard work, not you. You're not. What you might need to do is establish better boundaries. Yeah.
Yes.
But you're not the one that causes that. Yeah, absolutely. You have to, I think, because it's never, I'm never the one to, you know, call the victim, because in every situation there is always a different perspective or a different way of looking at it. And this is my natural kind of objectivity, because I do try to look at situations, even my own situations, where I know there was no way that I did anything wrong in that moment to get snapped at. But if I look at past history with that particular individual and that particular scenario, I would have at some point along the way showed them that it was okay to step over my boundaries, to disregard me in some way, shape or form. So that is where I then need to reflect and go, okay, while this situation in and of itself wasn't entirely my fault, because I'm also not one to encourage the whole toxic, everything is my fault kind of behavior either, because that's also another thing you really have to look out for. But yes, in some way you've got to set better boundaries for yourself, because even if you're not going to be perfect, and no one is, you know, I can't tell you how many times like I've gotten off the phone sometimes with clients and I've gone, oh Des, why'd you say that? like why did you agree to that? And I go, oh god, here we go again. Yet again, why are we doing this again? And it's because I'm human, so I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna revisit those same old toxic traits again and again and again. But that's life, isn't it? You just have to keep improving and keep moving on and keep, you know, just keep it in check and keep reminding yourself, you know, that you have to keep those boundaries up. And it's not a matter of keeping walls up. It's just a matter of setting healthy boundaries and reevaluating those boundaries as well, because your relationship with people does change along the way, because you and that person are changing every single day, every minute of every day. Every decision you make, you're changing yourself in some small, minute way, because you're growing older, you're growing wiser. So you 10 years ago and you today are going to be two completely different people. So you now need to reevaluate those boundaries as you're getting older within that particular relationship. My relationship with my mom has gone through several of those changes, because what was acceptable 10 years ago is no longer absolutely not acceptable now, you know, because I've grown, I've changed, I've reevaluated my boundaries. I no longer like that. I used to like green, I now like purple. That has changed, you know, and that's okay. That's entirely okay. But you have to, again, another thing is communicating the fact that you have changed those boundaries, because no one's psychic. So that's another thing. God, we can talk for ages on this.
We most certainly could.
It's such a multifaceted kind of thing, isn't it? So it's like, because one thing kind of leads to another, and it's like, you've got, I'm so cautious because I am one of those that everything was my fault. I tend to take a lot personally, again, because it's my ADHD, rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria, whatever you want to call it. But I do tend to absorb a lot of it, and excuse me, and as a result of that, you know, I'm very cautious to tell people oh, my voice is going now, but I am very cautious to tell people not to blame themselves for everything, because I'm so conscious of doing it myself. So it's just a matter of you know, trying to figure out a way around that without blaming yourself, but also taking some form of accountability as well in a situation.
Yes. Yeah. And that changes with each context as well, doesn't it? You know?
Absolutely. So how can people find you?
I am online. I have a website. It's positiveprint.co.uk. I am on LinkedIn, Suzanne Smart. Facebook, Suzanne Maria Smart. Instagram, POS_IMP. POS_imprint, sorry. Yeah, so I am in all of those places.
Awesome. I will also put all of the links, direct links, into the description and the show notes, so those who are listening can just hit the description and all the show notes, and they'll have direct access to that as well. But it was absolutely amazing having you here on the Entrepreneur Spotlight. I think we need to do another one. We need to do a follow-up.
I think
definitely.
So. I think so.
I think we need to do one, definitely schedule one for almost like a year from now, so we can have a part 2 and kind of see where this kind of journey has kind of gone, because you're on a very, while it's an entrepreneurial journey and while it is, you know, a career, it's also a very, very, very personal one for you as well. So I think it's important to kind of go, what have you learned or what have you experienced in the last year that you didn't know the year before, and kind of share those new updates as well.
Perfect.
Right, so we'll be speaking in about a year. So listeners, if you want to tune in a year from now, you know, just make sure and tune in, stay connected with us so that you'll see that update. Definitely we'll be doing this in a year. That's going to be awesome.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Désiré.
You are very welcome. You're absolutely most welcome. You've been an incredible guest, so thank you.
Thank you.
You can listen to this podcast and many more on tiltnexus.com, which is our free platform for entrepreneurs across the world. See you on the Nexus.